I'd worked myself up before asking her because she actually was fantastic with it and encouraged me to do so. And I think it can go either way with specialists. And perhaps if a specialist did take it the wrong way, maybe that is a red flag and a sign that you do need a second opinion maybe anyway.
Welcome to Beyond the Count. I'm founder and CEO of ITP Australia and New Zealand and your host, Danielle Boyle. This is a space created for the ITP community by the ITP community, where we share real stories, expert insights, and everything in between. Whether you're living with immune thrombocytopenia, supporting someone who is, or just curious about what life looks like beyond the bruises and the blood tests, you're in the right place. So whether you're driving, out for a walk, folding the laundry, or just sitting back and tuning in, let's dive in and go beyond the count. In this episode of Beyond the Count, I'm joined by Danielle Hodges, ITP patient and advocate, who you may know as the No Spleen Queen. We're talking about the value of a second opinion, why it's not about doubting your doctor, but about feeling confident in the decisions that you make. Danielle shares her own experience navigating big treatment choices, how she approached the conversation with her haematologist on a second opinion, and what it felt like to be included in a truly shared plan. Let's get into it. Thanks, Danielle, for joining us today. We have Danielle, the No Spleen Queen, talking to us today about getting new eyes and new insights, why getting a second opinion has helped her ITP.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Danielle, what made you decide to seek a second opinion when it came to your ITP?
That is a really good and a little bit of a difficult question. And it was a question that wasn't taken lightly at the time and took a little while to sort of work up to that, if I'm honest. My journey was hard and fast. I was diagnosed in March 2020 and unfortunately, very quickly, we learned that textbook solutions or treatments that other people with ITP were having were not working for me. So I was trying the steroids and the IVIG and the things that you try in the beginning when you're newly diagnosed with ITP. But unfortunately, they might have lasted a couple of days only, and I would be back to pretty much single-digit platelets. So let's just say I was hard work in the beginning and probably giving everybody around me stress. And my hematologist that I started with was a lovely female hematologist who asked me some questions and got to know me and my situation and explained everything really well to me in the beginning because obviously it was very new. I didn't even know what platelets were until I had this appointment. And so it was a steep learning curve. So I had to sort of take some time to probably go off and do a bit of my own research. And that looked like me finding you guys at ITP Australia and probably reaching out to you, Danielle, and saying, help, what am I supposed to do? Is there anyone else out there like me? What is ITP? And that was really helpful and comforting, just talking to some peers, I guess, who had ITP. But then we start talking about other treatments. And when treatments are not working, my hematologist would suggest new things. And I was lucky enough, I do have a pretty good support system. So I would take somebody with me to all my appointments to listen as an extra set of ears, as a lot of the time it's a lot of information. It can be overwhelming. So I would take a notebook and write down some notes and ask if that was okay with my hematologist, which she was fine with. My hematologist at the time also knew, just to be transparent with you, that I hadn't had any children yet, and that was a goal of mine. So she was considering this with my treatment. So that was not to be ruled out, as she knew it was quite important to me. Unfortunately, as time went on and things were not working and we had to reassess quite often, I had a lot of regular hospital trips and got to know all the lovely nurses at my local hospital quite well after never being in hospital for 30 years. But what sort of made me think about getting a second opinion, I guess, was when things started to change and, the normal textbook things and treatments that they recommend were not working for me. And so new things were being suggested. And suddenly it wasn't just a case of, okay, can you go home and take these steroids and come back in a week and we'll do another blood test? But the conversation started to change about, okay, maybe we need to remove your spleen with an operation and see how that goes, which was quite confronting, I will say, 4 months into my journey, and they're talking about taking a major organ. So I had to say to them, is it okay if I just have a think about this and process it and talk to my family and other people who've been through this? Obviously, everybody is in a different situation and different things work for different people. But I was talking with my family, you know, my dad said to me, if this was your car, Danielle, and your motor was broken, and you needed a quote and you needed something to be fixed, you'd probably get a couple of quotes before you went ahead with it. And I said, yes. And he said to me, well, why is your body any different? And that was very true. So that helped me because I am a people pleaser and I didn't want to sort of offend anybody or make it look like that I was asking questions. But I guess I was just more curious if that was the right answer for me, if that was something that we did definitely need to do. It's quite a permanent thing, obviously, that was being talked about. So, yeah, I just think if you're, you know, going to get a second opinion to get some work done around your house or on a car or something like that, and you're talking about your own health and, you know, that's the most important thing, then having a second opinion just to either affirm what has already been said to you or maybe give a different perspective. Everybody's different. I thought that might just make me feel better in the decision to either move forward or not. So
that's really, really insightful. I do like the analogy there. I think that's really, really good. And the other thing too, I suppose, is that having a fresh set of eyes over something, I know if I'm writing something or if I'm doing something, having somebody else's opinion can sort of open my eyes to other things that I've probably missed. So that's really, really important as well. Yeah.
Definitely. And I think my hematologist at the time said, you know, she got to know me quite quickly and quite well, me being in her office a few times a week. She said, sometimes you're standing so close to the problem and not standing back and looking at the whole forest is another analogy. And I thought that made sense to me, that she's so close. She knew me and what my goals were personally and medically, but being so close to it, it wouldn't hurt having someone standing back, like you said, with fresh eyes and assessing the situation and just giving their perspective.
I think that's really good of your original hematologist as well, because I suppose there's a bit of angst around saying to your doctor, I'd like a second opinion. I know I had a second opinion before my splenectomy as well. And, you know, my doctor was, you know, one of our medical specialists. So having a second set of eyes or even a third set of eyes over your health and before you making, you know, big impactful decisions, it can be really important.
Absolutely. I think you're definitely right there.
Okay, a lot of people feel unsure or even guilty about asking for a second opinion. Why do you think that is?
I think a lot of us are people pleasers and you don't want to offend somebody. You know, they've gone to university and done all the years and they're the expert. They're the ones that have done the study, so they know their stuff, and you don't want to, well, in my case, I felt like I didn't want to offend them. I was worried that if I questioned things, they'd take it like I was questioning their practice maybe, but it was just me trying to understand the language. Suddenly they're saying big words that you're trying to comprehend, and I would have to write some of them down and go away and think about it and Google it myself. Not saying Dr. Google is something to do, definitely not, but just, you know, processing that and people pleasing, it's a normal thing for humans to want to do. So I think in my case, it was just not wanting to offend my medical team at the time, really.
I think going back to your analogy as well, which I think I absolutely love, and I think I will use it moving forward, definitely, is that you wouldn't get like a house builder to put your hot water service in, right? So you get a specialist. So having a second opinion doesn't necessarily mean that all clinicians are equal. It's just that the specialists are very up to date with all of the latest developments, clinical trials, all of those sorts of things as well. So it's not personal. You're not doing it as a negative thing either. You're trying to do what's best for you. And I think that's really important as well to remember.
Definitely. Yeah. It's a delicate sort of act, but I think it is important to, just know that it's not about offending anybody, but just getting what's best for you and asking those questions and, being transparent about it.
Thanks to our sponsor Sobi for their ongoing support of ITP Australia and New Zealand and our podcast Beyond the Count.
What was your experience like when you did ask for a second opinion?
I'm quite lucky in my experience with my hematologist I had at the time. Like I said, it was a female hematologist. She was amazing, and she had different specialties. At the time then, when we started talking splenectomies, and suddenly treatments sounded to me anyway like they were starting to get a lot more serious. I was questioning it and wondering what to do, and had to talk with my family, and sort of went back and decided just to be transparent with her and said, I trust what you're saying, but this is a huge thing for me. I've just found out 4 months ago I've been diagnosed with ITP. I'm still getting my head around it, but I've been doing some research, and what do you think of me reaching out to this ITP specialist who just for another opinion, essentially? And she was actually supportive of it, and she thanked me for being transparent with her, for letting her know ahead of time. And it was a huge relief for me. To be honest, I was a little bit mad at myself that I'd worked myself up and stressed myself out ridiculously before asking her, because she actually was fantastic with it and encouraged me to do so. And I think it can go either way with specialists, and perhaps if a specialist did have take it the wrong way, maybe that is a red flag and a sign that you do need a second opinion maybe anyway. So that's what someone said to me, if they should be on board with it. We've all got a shared goal at the end of the day, and that was really good. So that's what encouraged me to continue the search and to reach out and to actually get that second opinion with an ITP specialist.
Wonderful. I think that's really wonderful from her perspective as well, because it might just be hard to say yes, I'm guessing, but to know that your patient wants a second opinion. But it's also got the opportunity of reaffirming that you're actually doing the right thing as well, and you're going down the path that others would potentially take. ITP, unfortunately, is so subjective as well. It's like what will work for you may be very different for me and for the next patient as well. So
that's right. And she had listened to my story, and she was trying to do what I wanted at the time, and not trying to do medications or treatment that was too harmful if I still was wanting as a goal to have children one day, being in my 30s and not having had that experience. But as things became so unsteady with my ITP, I guess, the new goal quickly became just getting me stable. So she encouraged that I sought another second opinion, and I actually had quite a positive experience where he was actually quite happy to liaise still with my current hematologist. And I was sort of under a bit of a shared plan where we all spoke together. So no information was missed. He got information from me and my perspective as a patient and listened, but he also got information from his colleague, I guess you'd say, and, her specialty opinion and all the jargon and and proper things that she could contribute to him. So he had more of a whole picture that he could work with when he did give me my second opinion. So it was more accurate, I suppose you'd say.
It really does sound very shared decision making, tick, tick, tick,
Yes.
goal setting, tick, 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 getting a second opinion and being, open and transparent. I just wish everybody had like a similar, opportunity to experience that. From a lot of the feedback that we receive, not everybody gets that. And
no, and I am aware of that.
I know both of you are clinicians, and I think that they're just wonderful, and putting your needs first is something that I think all haematologists strive to do, and have the opportunity of consistent learning and constant learning around shared decision making, and being part of the specialist teams, I suppose. So
that's right.
Looking back at your treatment and looking back at having that second opinion, how has your ITP management changed since getting that second opinion? You touched on that mutual collective treatment plan. So where are you now in all of this?
Yeah, it has been, 5 years down the track, and we are still looking. I think I've tried every medication for ITP that's out there now, and unfortunately that's not everyone's experience. Some people find things that keep them stable. My body just is particularly stubborn, but it was fantastic. I was very lucky with how it went and how both clinicians were open and to that idea. And I even asked once it was sort of in that transition period where I've had my female hematologist, and I reached out and got this ITP specialist on board. We actually had quite a few Zoom meetings between the three of us where, like I said, there was that shared decision making happening, and they had their knowledge and expertise, but they were also asking me as a patient, how are you feeling? What are your symptoms? And they were asking me all the right questions to make me feel like I was involved as well, which was really important. And then unfortunately, I just got a little bit too difficult with my ITP, and that can happen. And it was nothing that anybody did or didn't do. It's just the way my body is. So I had to make a decision with my husband, as we were living in the town of the original hematologist, to actually move closer to the new hospital where the ITP specialist was. And he took over my care because he was able to offer clinical trials that were coming up that the first hematologist just didn't have access to at the time. So that's sort of when I swapped over and he became my primary specialist, and that made things probably a little bit easier with just him. But I know for a fact that he is amazing, and he will reach out to colleagues and say,
he seems
get opinions.
He gets second opinions all the time as well, right?
He does. And he is the best of the best. But even he says, it can't hurt to ask other people, his colleagues' opinions, and say, what are we going to do with Danielle now this week? And I love that the first thing when I walk into his office with my appointment for that week, he'll say, how have you been feeling this week? And that opens up the dialogue and the conversation for both of us he makes me feel, I guess the best way to say it is, obviously I'm the patient and he's the expert still, but he nearly makes me feel like an equal in the way that he asks what my symptoms have been that week, how I'm feeling, if I've had any particular side effects on the current medication I'm on. Do I feel like I can continue on for another week and we see how things are? Or are the side effects so horrible? Sometimes I say to him, I can't do another week of pulse steroids. It's not working. My platelets have not done what we were hoping. And he listens to that. And I think that's the main takeaway that I've had, is because I have had a good experience. I guess it has built my confidence to ask questions, and I have taken into him studies that I've looked up. And obviously, like I said, I'm a patient and I've just got a layman's understanding of their amazing expertise, but I will take things in that I've heard that friends with ITP might have tried with their specialist, and I'll just say to him, is this something that might work for me or not? And he'll say, I don't think that would suit you because of these reasons, or actually, let's try that after this one. So he just the fact that he treats me more like a peer in a conversation and listens to my needs is the biggest thing. And probably my advice is, don't worry what you look like, but take in that notebook, write down questions, diarize your symptoms and how you've been going, and don't be scared to ask questions, because at the end of the day, it's not about anybody's ego, but it's about having a shared goal and a shared understanding. So if somebody is going to get offended because you have sought out a second opinion, maybe that was a red flag that, or a confirmation that you were doing the right thing, getting a second opinion in the first place. Because, yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, it's more about having that shared goal together. And that was probably the best thing that I've learnt along the way.
Wow, that's really insightful. I'm in awe of your experiences and all of the journey that you've had over the last 5 years. And watching you blossom and grow and really advocate for yourself, which I think is extremely important, and really communicate and educate the people around you as well when it comes to ITP. It's an absolute pleasure to watch how you've grown over the last couple of years. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. And I wouldn't have been able to do it with your support. You yourself have visited me in hospital in some of my lows, and we've had lots of conversations, and you've been able to hook me up with other patients just to have a conversation with them and make you feel like you're not on your own in this journey. That's really such a big thing, you're not alone in this, and it's okay to ask questions, and you can still do it in a polite way and with being assertive. So I think, if you're thinking, I'm wondering if I should get a second opinion, then I think that I've just been particularly lucky, but I think it is a good idea if anyone is considering it, to bite the bullet and do it.
Yeah. And as many people know, ITP Australia and New Zealand has a register of specialists on their website. So jump online, itpanz.org.au, and jump on at the HCP register and do a quick search, and you can get organised to get a referral to either through your haematologist or your GP to get a second opinion, to have a chat with one of our specialists as well. And if you think that your doctor should be included in that ITP register, hit them up. Tell them to get in contact with us. We're always happy to include other specialists within that register. Thanks, Danielle. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I look forward to you joining us on another podcast in the near future.
Thank you for having me. Always love having a chat with you, and I'll catch you guys next time.
I hope you all got a lot out of today's episode. I know I did. Before we wrap up, here are 3 key takeaways from our conversation with Danielle. Number 1, a second opinion isn't a rejection, it's reassurance. Getting a second opinion doesn't mean you don't trust your doctor. It can confirm you're on the right path or open up new treatment options that either of you haven't considered. Number 2, you deserve to be heard. Sharing how you feel, asking questions, and tracking your symptoms can help your medical team make decisions that align with your needs and your goals. And number 3, visit itpanz.org.au to explore your options. Not sure where to turn for a second opinion? Our healthcare professional register lists experienced ITP specialists. Talk to your GP or your haematologist about organising a referral today. A big thank you to the no spleen queen herself, Danielle, for joining us today. It was a pleasure talking with you. If you're looking for support, join the ITP community at itpanz.org.au. While you're online, check out the latest edition of The Count, our quarterly magazine. Read some of the great patient stories we have in our news section. Download a huge range of treatment information, guidelines and more in our patient resources section, and know that you are not alone. We are here to support you. We are here to provide you and inform you with all of the latest information when it comes to immune thrombocytopenia. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with others in the ITP community, and don't forget to leave a review on the platform you're listening from. It helps others find Beyond the Count. We've got more expert conversations coming your way really soon, so hit the follow or subscribe button to stay updated. And thanks for tuning in and diving beyond the count with us.